Omo Guru Benza Dara Padara Gama Wagena Subade Jana Shasana Dara Samona Shiri Oh, sorry, baby, you know, do Indian body, Sunday, you know, why you do boy, you know, go,
for this term union, have you come across this other term, coincidence? Coincidence? Yeah? Okay. Coincidence. 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 Coincide. And the noun of that is coincidence? Coincidence. Coincidence. The noun of coincide is coincidence or coincidence. So this is turning out to be like English lesson. Because in some other translation, I saw this word, right? It is spelled same as how we say coincidence. It's a coincidence, right? But it's spelled same, but like you said, coincide, like two things coinciding, right? And then the noun of that. Maybe the mic. 1 minute, please.
The fact, condition, or state of coinciding. Okay, so the definition according to dictionary.com for coincidence, the fact, condition, or state of coinciding. It's a noun, a chance occurrence of events remarkable either for being simultaneous or for being apparently being connected. The fact, condition, or state of coinciding.
Right, right. Thank you. Thank you. Anyhow, the term that is used more often is union, right? Union, right? Union. Right? Illusory body and clear light, union, right? So, on the seat of an unchangeable, unified method and wisdom. Devotion and respect, as we talked about before. Devotion and respect, not simply for the sake of having faith, but out of understanding, you know, out of understanding, out of seeing the benefit, out of seeing the benefit of relying on the guide, relying on the guide, seeing the benefit of relying on the guide, then would naturally give rise to devotion and respect, right? Devotion or faith and respect. Respect is something more, I think it has to do with more like it is something like respect is like, even though it can be mental, but it can also be like how we relate to the guru, as stated in the 50 verses, right? It explains in great detail how to act, how to act physically, verbally, and mentally in relation to the guru, right? So Acharya Ashvaghosha's 50 verses, 50 stanzas on how to rely on the guru explains clearly. Explains clearly the point of this so-called guru devotion is gaining trust in the guide, right? This is the point. Trust in the guide. Trust in the guide. Trust in the guide. If this spiritual mentor has not only the wisdom, but also has the method of conveying that wisdom, which is compassion, then something like a major part of those set criteria are met. Those conditions are met, right? So our guru who embodies the method and the wisdom of the path, this is the quality of the guru. The quality of the guru is actually inseparable from the path that leads to the state of Buddha, right? The path that leads to the state of Buddha, to the fully enlightened state, is the criteria of the guru. Without being on this path, then how can one guide others onto this path? Without these paths, it is not possible. That is, in short, the criteria of the guru, the one who is on the path to enlightenment, who has the path that leads to enlightenment and the path that is the enlightenment, right? So this is, we are setting quite a high criteria for what is guru. We are really asking a lot. As that young man said, the guru is the one. How did it go? Something like, didn't he say it along the lines of, the guru is the one who takes us from the darkness to the light, right? To the enlightened state. So that is very clear. So when you ask someone to be the guru, you're asking for. What are you asking for? Yes. One thing to keep in mind on this subject of guru devotion, as we talked right now, the 50 stanzas, this is in the context of course, Anuttara Yoga Tantric practice, right? So for us beginners, then it is better when you look at the Vinaya, or when you look at the Sutra Alamgara. And in the Lamrim, is it the Sutra of the trunk area? What is the name of that sutra? The Sutra of the area of the trunk, or something like that. Array of the trunk, or trunk array sutra. What? Array of stalks sutra, right? That is the one on the guru, how to relate to the guru, right? And yes, it gives something like 9 examples, right? The nine ways of relating to the guru, right? Yes, beginning with like a dog. So with the first one, like a dog, right? Can I share a story? So a few weeks back, when I was in Germany, I was visiting a friend, and the friend had a small postcard. So I could see it, right? And on one side, it was a picture of a dog looking at some photos on the wall. And on the other side of the card was a drawing of a cat, again looking at some photo frame on the wall. So the dog, and then under that there were some words. So the friend translated for me, and it read, okay, on the side of the dog, the caption under that side, it read, "They feed me, they look after me, they care for me, they give me their love." So there must be gods. And the cats says, they feed me, they look after me, they care for me. I must be a god. Right? So then this really is nice. So when I saw this postcard, then it added something to that first example, being like a dog. So really, not only specifically in the context of guru, but to all sentient beings, being like a dog, looking at them and then thinking, they have fed me over so many lifetimes. They have given me so much of their love over lifetimes. So they must be gods, right? They are gods. They are so kind, right? Having that, I think, is really so important, right? Sometimes I feel this guru devotion in itself, it's like a training. In itself, it's like mind training. It is preparing us to regard all sentient beings as gurus, as enlightened beings, appreciating them, right? So guru devotion, just this part by itself, I think it can really unlock this whole world, right? A new perspective, a new way of looking at things, of feeling appreciation in a way we have never felt. Guru devotion can really open that, yeah? So guru devotion, the benefit of healthy guru devotion, I think it's immeasurable, infinite. Even with that first example, right, of the 9. So this is, of course, clearly stated in Je Rinpoche's extensive Lamrim. And then in both these two practice of remembering a kind guru and remembering compassion, to make aspirational prayers, to aspire, to aspire, right? To aspire for the Guru's kind qualities, to aspire that, to aspire the well-being of others, to aspire for all beings to be free of the roots of suffering, to be free of the 3 mind poisons, right? Aspiring. Therefore, praying is so important. praying, aspiring, I think they're similar, in some contexts, same, they're the same thing, right? The power of prayers, the power of prayers, the power of our prayers is the power of our aspiring. Right? Aspiration is one of our great practices, aspiration. It is our motivation. It is our path. And in the end, it is what connects us to others. Aspiring. Compassion is aspiring. Compassion is aspiration. Prayers. Seems like when we're going through a difficult period, when it seems like there is no more options, then prayers can really help. They can really give us courage, and the support. So to make the prayers the Bodhisattvas had aspired for, had prayed for, to make the same prayers, that blesses our mind stream, it leaves a positive imprint on our minds. This is very important, very important. And with aspiration, then there is a stream. The stream continues, right? The path continues with aspiration. When the aspiration stops, then there is no more path. There is no more path when the aspiration stops. So aspiration is so important that way, so that the path continues, so that you continue to be on the path. So making aspirations, especially like the prayers of Samantabhadra, right? The king of prayers. If you reflect on each lines, how can it not energize? How can it not give you the power if you reflect on each of those lines, right? Each of those lines of the prayers of Samantabhadra. Sometimes, if we feel doing what we are currently doing, we feel that it's not giving much energy, that's okay. You can recite, you can look at the aspirational prayers. And, the aspiration the chapter on aspiration from Bodhisattva Charyavatara, right? The aspiration prayer of Samantabhadra. These are they somehow like revive our path. They really bring support, foundation to our practice. So there are so many options for each different issues where we feel that we have to work on. There's always something you can find from one of those, is it 84,000 heaps of Dharma, right? That's what it is called, right? And why 84,000? Because of something like, is it not like the 84,000 forms of engaging with afflictive emotions, right? Whenever we're feeling down, that state is almost like, that state is afflictive emotions. We are now tuning into afflictive emotions. When we tune into those, that's when we feel down. That's when we feel that there is no energy, right? That we feel like there is no hope, right? Hopeless, lifeless, right? This is because now we are so deep into this afflictive state, afflictive emotions. And for each of those emotions, there is a Dharma that helps us deal with that, right? And from the Kangyur and the Tengyur, nowadays, what is it? There's this app. I think it was developed under with the guidance of the Karmapa. Is it called something like Adarsha? Adarsha. It's really wonderful, right? Adarsha. And also, I think one of Dongser Khyentse Rinpoche's projects, is it something like 84,000, right? It's called 84,000. Then there are so many sutras translated already, and they are still, I think, in the process of translating more, right? So there is this treasure of resources that you can always look. And for the sutra sections, there is no restriction. Anybody can access, anybody who would like to, and you don't need a teacher. You can just read it yourself and you can understand it and take it to your level, and then apply it to your current state. And if that works, what can be better than that, right? What more do you need, right? Because we need the Dharma to bring life back into our practice, into our bodhicitta, right? So we have to, whenever we are faced with challenges, just to always know that there is a way. There is a way. That there is always a way, right? There is a way. And it is kindness of all the people who were involved in making the Dharma so accessible, you know. So really, the kindness of everyone involved in those projects, the kindness of the Buddhas, the kindness of the Bodhisattvas. Like, can you imagine if Shariputra and Chenrezig, if they never had that discussion, we wouldn't have the House Sutra. Imagine, you know. The House Sutra happened because of Chenrezig and Shariputra had a lively interaction. Right? So really, not only the Buddhas, but also the Bodhisattvas. And not only the Bodhisattvas, but the Pratikya Buddhas and the Sharvakas, the Yidams, the Asuras, all migrators, all sentient beings, right? Through all of their kindness, we have the Dharma. And the Dharma is there for them, for us. So the main thing is how to approach the Dharma. The approach, right? Approach part is very important. When we talk of these concepts, belief systems, that is one way. But concepts and belief systems, that's the term we use. But emptiness is more than a concept. Emptiness is beyond conception, beyond a set of beliefs, right? The fully enlightened state, it's beyond our conception. So then how do we relate that? How do we bring that into our lives? Is to reenact being a Buddha, right? Try to be Buddha-like, being Buddha-like, right? In body, speech, and mind. Being Buddha-like. To ask ourselves from time to time, now, would the Buddha do it like this? Would the Buddha really say these words to this other person? Yeah, just to remind ourselves from time to time, you know. This is, I think, very important. To reenact being a Buddha, being a fully enlightened person. It is not easy at first, but with practice, with joyful effort, then we can bring more Buddha-like aspects in our lives, right? We can bring more Buddha qualities in our karma, in the karma that we are creating, right? For example, immeasurable impartiality. Practicing that is being Buddha-like, isn't it? Right? That is taking the aspect of the Buddha's qualities and then applying it, right? Remaining impartial, open-minded, being understanding. Not holding onto one's views to the point that one becomes deaf to the voice of others, to the voices of others, right? Not seeing what you're seeing and developing conviction in such a way that one becomes blind to the view, to what the other person is seeing, right? So this awareness, it's like space-like. Just as the space is infinite, tend to pervade all-pervasive awareness, right? This is very helpful in overcoming much of our daily issues, especially in regard to our worldview, right? In regard to our views that relate on a like socio-political level. A main point is, no matter what view we have, at some point, being able to let go of that view. Yeah, this is what we are trying to learn. This is part of that unlearning process. This is part of that unlearning what we have learned by way of inclination, by way of imprints from the past and from the present. And integrating that awareness, the expansive thought, expansive view is so beneficial in accepting others, in understanding the views of others, in understanding the views of others. A correct view isn't determined by what that view holds, but it is more by how one views it, right? I can say everything is empty, but if I'm so attached to my view of emptiness, I don't think my view of emptiness is correct, right? So it is not what one believes in, but how you believe in it makes a big difference, right? the how. The how part is something that we often overlook. We just think of the what and maybe sometimes the why, but not the how. So the how part, that's we have to be aware of that. How am I seeing emptiness? How do I relate to it, right? In what way? And am I going back to my old patterns whilst talking about emptiness? Am I going back to my old way of thinking when I approach primordial wisdom, right? Am I going back to my old ways when I'm meditating on compassion, right? So these are things that we have to recognize. And only by recognizing the thought process, our thought process, our psyche, will we then be able to accept the Dharma in a holistic way, in an open way, without the borders set by afflictive emotions, right? Without the border created by afflictive emotions. So this takes much practice, much practice. As we spoke before, increasing faith and not increasing the attachment, right? Increase faith, but not the attachment part. I think it is possible. I would like to think so. But how to do that? Well, you have to find that out. Right? And you have to, there is a fine line there. And with meditation is the only way of finding that path, I think. Meditation is the only way of finding that balance. To be able to draw, where to draw that line, right? It is only possible by meditating, by habituation, by always going back to it and experiencing it, and then fine-tuning the mind, right? Fine-tuning the mind, our minds. Also with compassion. To bring compassion together with emptiness. It helps. It's very helpful in not letting this compassion practice somehow give rise to attachment, you know. Compassion practice is not intended to give rise to attachment, right? So to balance that by way of emptiness, to balance that with emptiness. I think in the Pali Sutra, the four immeasurables, there's this term, something like the far enemy and the near enemy. So to be able to differentiate those, I think in the Pali Sutra, in the Pali tradition, there's this. So when you have the time to look into this, I think it's very helpful to recognize the far enemy and the near enemy, right? And we have for each of the four immeasurables, right? So this way is really good. Very helpful, very helpful. Because sometimes if you're not careful, what we think is something may not necessarily be that, right? We could be meditating on something else, not what we intended, not what we intended to meditate, right? And this far enemy, near enemy, not only for the four immeasurables, but by using that example, I think you can apply that on so many other practices as well, right? The near enemy and the far enemy. So I think I will stop. Oh, Carlos, straight ahead.
Thank you. I wanted to bring to your attention an experience I once had where, first of all, let me just say that I'm a believer in the physical plane of existence. I see people, I see myself, I see the tables, cars, all of this is on a physical plane. But there was a time when I was having a conversation with a friend, and I came to the conclusion as we were talking that that person and myself were the same person at a higher level. And then I could see that it was more of consciousness, and I became aware that I was not on the physical plane at that point. And I felt that and came to the conclusion that every single person, everything on the physical plane is an illusion, doesn't really exist. And if we allow ourselves, if we are fortunate or remove distractions, we can find ourselves the same as everyone else and everything else, and eventually lose contact with the imagination that you're in a physical body. So I brought this to your attention for your commentary.
This experience you had is a good experience. This is very helpful in understanding that things on the physical plane have really no inherent existence, right? It is very helpful, I think. I can only hear you, right? So this is very good. And I think to continue to see it as such, right? That things on the plane, on the physical plane, they are illusion-like, that they don't have this solidity as we perceive them to have. That is really, I think, really good. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you.
Thank you, Rinpoche. Thank you for your teaching this evening. I think it feels so applicable to our daily life, or especially to me. I do have a question about, I fear that I'm kind of a bad student. The Pali Sutra, the far and near enemy, what are they? And when you say meditation, are you referring to analytical meditation when you talk about, the daily life and or unlearn the inclination and imprints of the past and present and doing meditation? Are you referring to more to an analytical meditation? And then what are the far and near enemies?
I don't have the far enemy and the near enemy from the top of my head, but I think it's a matter of searching, right? It's a matter of searching far enemy, near enemy, for immeasurable, and I think you will have the results. The far enemy, I think, is like the opposing factor, and then the near enemy is something like that has a similar aspect to it, but it could be confused for such. That is how I vaguely remember those as, right? Then the second question, meditation, yes, analytical, single-pointed, of course, but I meant meditation more as an awareness, being aware of our thoughts, being aware of where we are going with these thoughts, being aware of whether these thoughts are one-sided, whether they are sort of, biased or not. That's what I meant. So in those contexts, right? Was there a third part?
I think that's it. Thank you, Rinpoche.
Thank you.
Rinpoche, when we first started the second session, you had talked about asking the guru to be your guru. And for me, His Holiness is my guru, but there's no way I had an opportunity yet to ask him to be my guru. So I'm assuming, do I need to do that? It's been many years now, but do I need to maybe mentally at some point ask, send out a please be my guru? I know I'm super late.
Yes, I don't think it is necessary. Yes, His Holiness is your guru. And what I said before, it was something like, if you are receiving the teaching for the first time, and if it is possible, then traditionally we would go and have a personal audience and then ask for permission to attend the teachings, right? But of course, with His Holiness, if each of us who are taking teachings for the first time, if each of us would have to do that, then of course that wouldn't be very practical. So I think that's great. That's great that His Holiness is your root guru. Yeah, thank you.
I was asked to ask you a question about the power of prayer. And it comes in the context of many times during the teachings, after the teachings, we do prayers for people that are sick or people that may have died. And I don't know them from Adam. I don't know who these people are. But we're saying these prayers to help. And I could never understand how my prayers for someone that is just a name to me can really be beneficial to that person, and why we do this. It's similar in the Jewish tradition. We call it Mishaberach, where we make prayers for the sick. But I don't understand, maybe you can explain the benefits of doing those kinds of prayers when they may be just a name to me.
Prayers. When we make prayers for others, prayers, because our premise is all of us, we are connected to each other one way or another. That is the premise. And the premise also includes that we have been fathers, mothers, sons, daughters of each other through countless lifetimes, countless times, right? That is the premise. So it is not just a name. It is not just a name. It is a person you have a connection with. So when to whomever you have a connection with, as soon as you think about them, there is a connection, right? There is a connection. And when you dedicate positive merits towards them, it affects them. It has a positive effect on them. And also, it has a positive effect on your relationship with the other. This is very clear, right? The power of prayer, one of the benefits is that it creates a connection. As soon as you pray for somebody, you are now relating to them. You are relating to them in a positive way. You are, in a way, reconnecting with them in a positive way by praying for them, right? So this is, I think, like that.
Could you define what you mean by a positive way.
Positive in the sense that you care for them. That you care for them. That you are including them. You are including them in your prayers. You are including them in your family, right? This is benefiting your mind stream. It helps. It helps in connecting with the other.
Does it benefit the other as well?
Excuse me?
Does it benefit the other as well?
I like to think so, yeah. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
If I'm not mistaken, I think one example of near enemy is, I think attachment is a near enemy to loving kindness.
Yes. Yes.
And because love and attachment are so easily
Similar.
confused.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Similar
it seems similar, but actually they're not the same.
Right. Right. Thank you.
And my other question is, I thought we were maybe going to speak about the guru in the heart. Are there different levels of understanding what guru at the heart means? Would that also include the guru at the heart perhaps being your own potential enlightenment or your Buddha nature, your Dharmakaya? Or
We call it guru at the heart, but how you understand it, as we talked yesterday, we understand that in different ways, right? We understand it in different ways. We understand that in different ways. There is no one way of understanding that. As long as you have the guru in your heart, it's good. It doesn't matter how you define the guru or how you define heart. That doesn't matter, right? Those are like technicalities, right? Those are technicalities. As long as you have the guru at the heart. This is the point. In whatever form that may be, in whatever form, whichever way it works the best for you, that is your way. It's so simple, right? As long as, but you got to have guru at the heart. That's the point. You know, that's the point. That's the point. How you want to do that, or where, how you want to define the heart, or how you want to define the guru, you can define it any way you want. As long as you have the guru at the heart, I think that's okay then, yeah? Yes.
Can it be said that the ultimate guru is the person's Buddha nature?
Yes, of course. But not only that, but also the great bliss of inseparable shunyata jnana, right? Inseparable bliss of emptiness, wisdom. That is also ultimate guru. That is also ultimate guru, right? the great bliss of inseparable emptiness wisdom, of inseparable emptiness wisdom. So it's something like, yeah, I think we can stop like that. So that's right. Yes. Yes.
I have several gurus who have all helped me in a lot of different ways and are all equally important to me. So when it comes to visualizing one guru, I often cannot decide which one to visualize. What should I do?
I think dissolving all of these gurus, dissolving all of the gurus, right, into one guru might be a good way, might be a good way. And if you can't decide onto which guru to dissolve all the others, I think this seems to be like the premise, then maybe each of those gurus can take turns every day. Right? Yes. So that way also the gurus don't become tired. Yeah, so you can have one guru each day where all the other gurus dissolve into. And then the next day, then yeah, like that. And the point is, after dissolving all of these gurus, and then if, I don't know, because the question was something about dissolving or not?
It's about visualization. I often cannot decide which one to visualize. So what should I do?
So I think it's coming from a higher, this Anuttara Yoga Tantric context. I think the question is coming from that. So if you are practicing Anuttara Yoga Tantra, then at the end of that dissolution, then to, bringing the guru and the guru inseparable from the great bliss of inseparable wisdom emptiness, right? Right? Inseparable emptiness, then what? Yes. La. Yes. Also, Geshe Yambela suggested, like in the marriage field, visualizing all of the gurus is also very nice. Yes. La. Yes. Yeah, like that, yeah.
In one Guru Yoga practice, Lama Tsongkhapa dissolves into our heart, which is upside down. What is the significance of visualizing our heart upside down?
Excuse me? What was the question?
The question, it says, in one Guru Yoga practice, Lama Tsongkhapa dissolves into our heart, which is upside down. What is the significance of visualizing our heart upside down?
I don't know. Did you hear me? Have you heard? Have you heard of the heart upside down? Nangju. Oh. Nangju yigidi. Ahum dizuma kabuluyars. Yes. Is it the heart? I'm not aware of such commentary. This I cannot answer. Maybe tomorrow, if you could cite the source, it would be helpful for all of us here. Okay.
There are people in my life that I have vivid past life memories of. Some were my children, some my friends or spouses. I've often been confused by my attachment to these people, especially those I dreamed about or saw while meditating before meeting them in real life. How should I navigate these connections so that they bring benefit and not unnecessary pain through misunderstood attachment?
If you feel close to someone, that's good. If you feel close to someone, that's good. I don't think we have to term that attachment, right? Simply being close to someone is not necessarily a negative thing. Then that's important, right? That's good. Now we have to include more in that closeness, right? We have to include more in that closeness. If feeling close to someone is totally negative, then there is no basis for generating compassion, right? Then there is no basis for generating compassion, for loving kindness, right? Because we say that we already have this. We have this already, no? So now it is a matter of including more in that closeness, trying to bring others closer to one's heart, right? Yeah. And then the question was how to navigate this?
The question, yes, how to navigate these connections so that they bring benefit and not unnecessary pain.
When having close relationships is good, but just the closeness part is okay. It is, I think, in this closeness, then when we engage with others, then if we are not careful with our body, speech, and mind, then we have some problems may arise, right? Some issues may rise. So then, using our judgment, using our awareness, then finding the right balance, and I think something like mindfulness, really mindfulness, bringing mindfulness in one's relationship is very helpful. Not sort of talking to them for the sake of talking, right? But talking in a productive way, talking in a way that that benefits, that helps the relationship, that helps the relationship, talking in a way and relating in a way that helps keep up this relationship on a healthy level, in a positive way, right? So these are some things that we can experiment with, we can try. And also to look in retrospect, to look back in retrospect is also helpful, right? Also helpful. Many times we don't sort of analyze what we said in the past. We have a tendency to not look at how some issues arose. Yeah, we just seem to like fast forward through that, So sometimes it's good to see where like these spikes occurred, and then make sure that we don't repeat the same pattern, next time moving forward, that we don't make the same mistakes twice, right? So like this, I think it is helpful so that these relationships stay stable and not problematic, right?
Maybe one more from online. There are many Buddhist sutras that say that if you read this or that sutra, it will stop calamity, disasters, robbers, etc. By what means does reading these sutras bring the effect?
These sutras that come with this kind of benefits. How I understand it is that by reading this, it could have great implications in next lives, right? For example, if it says, if you recite this mantra, then you won't face natural disasters. Or if it says, this will stop the natural disasters. This could mean that if I recite these sutras, then because of this connection of what we called our discussion with the power of prayers and how it affects the person that we send out those positive thoughts to, direct our positive actions towards, because the Buddha in past lives had made these vows, and directed his mind towards us. Therefore, by reciting these mantras, this helps us in being born in a place that doesn't have natural disasters, something like that, right? So this is how I understand it. Not to be taken like so literally, but this is a way of understanding some other. So likewise, you could apply the same to other sutras, right? To any other kind of this kind of benefits.
Thank you, Rinpoche. I'm a deep believer in prayer, and I received a text this evening from a friend's wife who said he was going into the hospital this evening for emergency surgery. And I'm wondering if we could as a group, say a prayer for him.
And the name is Namara.
Dave Sidwell.
Oh, okay. Dave Sidwell. So later, when we during dedication, then please include Dave Sidwell. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, 네, 야구도.
Rinpoche, while we're requesting, I received a message today for Bill Weiner, who's also been diagnosed with cancer. on
Bill
top of
Weiner.
cancer on top of Parkinson's
Oh,
on many levels. So
oh. Carlos, the last question.
Is it okay to visualize when you have the various statues of Buddha and you meditate in front of a statue of Buddha, and then you're visualizing Buddha? Is that a good way to go?
Can you ask once more?
If you meditate and you're meditating on Buddha, you have a statue of Buddha, say, in front of you as you start meditating, and you want to visualize Buddha. I wanted your comment on that.
Of course, I think having the Buddha in front, the Buddha representation in the front, it really helps in visualizing the Buddha or visualizing as the Buddha, right? So this is, I think, very helpful, very helpful. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And so please include Bill Weiner and Dave Sidwell. Bill Weiner. Bill Weiner. Dave Sidwell.
Rinpoche? And my father's in the hospital too, if we can include my dad.
Oh, the name, please.
Afif.
Afif.
Afif. Mhm.
Afif.
It means gentle heart, yeah.
Okay.
Parshuk.
Parshuk. Afif
Parshuk.
Parshuk. Afif. Can I?
Yeah.
Okay. So Afif Parshuk, right? Afif Parshuk. Okay. Bill Weiner and Dave Sidwell and Carlos, the mic.
And a young boy, Quentin.
It's okay, Quentin. Okay. Pray for Quentin. Tomorrow and today. That's fine. That's fine. It's all good.
Just one more request to Nikom. He's 72 years old, went in the hospital today.
Okay. The name, please?
Nikom.
Nikom. So Nikom and Afif Parshuk, Bill Weiner, Dave Sidwell, and Quentin. Okay. Nikom. You got that, Kelsang? Okay. Okay. Very good. Dagi
Inge sabe yewa de denda noa guna. Chebara jisa lozan tapai debe yemur seche.
And also please include Namara stamp in your prayers as well. Namara stamp.
Jambe bawe jeda jemba da gondo sambo te yang de je te da gwenje je so da lo je ge wa te da dang je ra tu so je be ja wa dang je ho wa kang la jo do ma ba da ye ye ve sa wa de gwen yang sa bo je ra do wa de ma la na me be de ma je wa de da la me je ye ge wa de ya do wa ma le ba xin ye na yo ro pen zhen de ye de ma se be nian duo long jie na ma ra me ya ten be gang zui xie de de ma yi qie nie be da duo ga wa ten ne jiu wei de nie zi zi du be lu zang ye wa dang jie le da so jia dang ne zi ma ge jie zang ya le wa ya ma yu ten ba jiu de ga wa ya ba me ne de ning mo zhen jie du ba da ga yi jie be wa la ju nya nam ba la ju be nin zhen na wa cha ju sem ju ren bo jie ma jie jie wa nya ba me ba ya go ne go no be ma ba ma sim jie dam jie de da de yo nian duo tam jie da duo dong ba cha ju sen ba kan da su ju de da guen jie me la ma du ju ka re ra we gu we xin ka wa pen da de wa ma le ju me jie re se wa den zhen jia su sha be si de ba du den ju Jewa Gundo Yanda Lama, Teme Cheche Bela Longe, Sata Lamje Yende Rafu, Doje Jangje Goba Yodo, Cheche Jebo Zonga, Cheche Namara Bewa, Ye Tsema Shewa, Tenje Dada Shenje de Sumada, Teve Sonye La, Java Losa Dava, Demba Yirima, Sanje Kusu Nyebe Jela, Chenye Menjuro Dembe Jela, Kindu Michen Debe Jela, Chida Yangowa Malayan Joy, yeah, yeah, joy, I will show.